you did a beautiful job of talking about this continuity and the fact that heaven and earth are being reunited and that we will experience a mysterious bodily resurrection whereby we live with Christ forever. But there are some questions that are prompted there. I agree with you that there's the idea of the soul is this kind of Platonic invasion of the biblical mindset. And yet Jesus does say some confusing things at the beginning of John 14. Like, you know the way to where I'm going. My Father's house has many rooms. If we have a bodily resurrection here on earth, what is Jesus talking about there?
I'm tempted to say, I'm sure Tim's got a better answer than this, but let me just do a little riff on that. The phrase, my Father's house, occurs twice, I think, in John, maybe more, but I've got these two in mind. That one that you just quoted from John 14, which is in John 14, verse 2, there is plenty of room to stay in my Father's house. The previous one is in John chapter 2, when Jesus is in the temple, driving out the money changers and the animals who are being sold and bought and so on. And Jesus says, don't turn my Father's house into a market. The phrase, my Father's house, is a temple phrase. And we modern Western Protestant Christians particularly, we have tended to marginalize the temple. You heard me last night, I think, say we shouldn't be doing that. This is really significant. But the key thing is Jesus sees God the Father as already building the new temple which, as we find throughout John, but also in Paul, is the human beings in whom the Holy Spirit is going to come and dwell. And I'm not sure I can parse all of that out from John 14 straight off the top, but there's something going on there which means that we have misunderstood the text if we think that it simply means Jesus is saying, I'm going off to heaven, I'm getting a place ready, and you can come and join me. Because it's very clear later in the chapter, he's quite explicit that if anyone loves me, they will keep my word, and my Father and I will come and make our home with that person. So that it isn't about us going to be with Jesus somewhere else and that's it. It's about belonging to God's people in the present, and that's okay, despite the fact that Jesus himself is going away, and that will then mean that Jesus and the Father will come through the person and work of the Spirit and make their home with us. It's complicated. John 14, 15, 16 are among the densest texts in the New Testament, and it's so much Johannine literature seems to go this way and that, and we just have to stay with it and wrestle. But that's where I am at the moment with that.
It's great. Let's play tennis right now. Let's send this ball back and forth. So your observation was in the Gospel of John, the phrase "the house of my Father" is used first in the pivotal program setting story in chapter 2. Where it refers to the temple. But then John whispers in the ear of the reader, I think from a post-resurrection standpoint, and says the temple he was talking about was his body. Yeah. So we're on this, right? So in my mind, that is hugely significant then for the next appearance of that phrase in John 14. In the house of my Father, there are many rooms, dwelling places. Is it King James that's mansions? Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yes,
so it's not helpful.
One of the many misleading, deeply misleading phrases. I mean, the Greek word there does not mean a place you go to live forever. It means a temporary dwelling place, pitching your tent while you're on a journey somewhere else.
So let's just follow the logic real quick. If I've been introduced to the temple as a building in Jerusalem that Jesus was claiming, and then John whispers in our ear, was pointing to the reality of God in flesh, in the person of Jesus, then let's try that on as a definition for what he says in John 14. In the house of my Father, there are many places to take up residence. And I wouldn't tell you if it wasn't the case. And then he talks about this period of time where he's going away. And then, like you were just noting, he picks it up right back down here in verse 23. It says, if anyone loves me and keeps my word, my Father will love him, and we, my Father and I, we will come to that one and, well, and here's the word again, take up residence, make that person a dwelling place. So all of a sudden, you're like, wait, hold on. Are the dwelling places in Jesus, because he is the temple? Or is it about them taking up residence in me? If those seems like polar opposites of each other, and I have too many things. I have a mug of tea, I have the device, and but I want to, the way John has designed that section of speeches is that 14 through chapter 16 is kind of I think a triad, a three-part structure. We've never talked about this. But then 17 comes as like the plus one, like the boom, the extra thing, the extra sauce. And in the extra sauce, the final lines of John 17 are just so cosmic and mind-blowing, because he's like, Father, you know what? I am in you, and you're in me. Yeah. And what I really desire is that we go be in them so that they can be in us. You're just like, what?
That's great.
But that has to be a bookend to this, almost a riddle. It's almost as if these opening lines of 14 are a riddle that you've got to walk through it, and then you get to 17. It's the mutual indwelling of divine and human in the Son and then in the Spirit. And this is one way to talk about that for this window of time, post-resurrection, pre-new creation, is a dwelling place.
Yeah, that's
what do you
great.
think about that?
And I love that. And